Hello and welcome to Serial at Midnight. My name is Heath and I've got a short 4K review for you guys. Clint Eastwood's High Plains Drifter has just arrived on 4K Ultra HD from Kino Lorber. And I love this movie. I love Clint Eastwood, especially in the Western genre, which I think is it's the genre that made him famous, going back to Rawhide on television in the 50s, all the way through those Sergio Leone movies, A Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which Kino Lorber has also released all of those movies on 4K. This is an excellent Clint Eastwood Western made in the early 70s. It feels like it's got a foot in the spaghetti Western world, but it's a studio picture made in the Hollywood system, about 300 miles outside of Hollywood. It's got a look that we've never seen. It takes place on a lake, the town of Lago. It's got a tone that I think we've never really seen or had not seen at that point. In a Clint Eastwood Western. The thing is Unforgiven, which is Clint Eastwood's last word on the Western, really takes up so much oxygen when we talk about this sort of thing. We can forget how great his earlier Western work is. And he's directing himself here. Now, he directed things before this, but this is really his first time directing a Western starring himself. And I think it's a director finding himself. I think that he's trying to discover his path, and it is an interesting story in the way that it's constructed and presented. It's got a bookend kind of a quality, like it starts, it ends where it starts. It's got this real interesting construction, and Clint Eastwood is paying homage to his Man with No Name work, the Italian Western work, but he's also embracing the tone really of 70s of the anti-hero. He's not a great guy in this movie. That's the thing. He's an anti-hero in those Sergio Leone movies, right? But goes even further here. How much do I want to say in this review? He does a lot of things that are just outright surprising from someone that just theoretically our main character, our hero character. And it's all by design. It's all incredibly interesting. It's ultimately a movie about revenge. It's about payback. It's about getting revenge on those. Here's the story. It's based on a real incident from, I think it was 1964. This 38 people watched a woman being brutalized and didn't do anything. It happened over the course of about a half an hour. They just stood around. So enter a Western version of that story. This whole town, the town of Lago, has watched something horrible happen in their town and done nothing. Enter Clint Eastwood as the stranger, and it's about revenge and payback, making people pay for what they've done. It's powerful. So how does it look on 4K? Let's just jump right into the 4K review. Man, this movie looks so good on 4K. Shot on film. It's got wonderful saturation. The HDR, the Dolby Vision here looks really, really good. This is a brand new HDR Dolby Vision master with a 4K scan of the original camera negative. Now, some people point these things out. When I talk about older movies shot on film, some people talk about, well, that seems a little blurry in some spots. Anamorphic lens distortion is a thing that happens with certain movies, depending on the kind of angles of the lenses that are used. Anamorphic lenses are, they're a wider lens with a curve, and sometimes, depending on how a shot is constructed, some of those shots can end up blurry. There is a fair amount of anamorphic distortion in High Plains Drifter. That has nothing to do with the sharpness of the video quality. That's not a remaster issue. That's how it was shot. That's the how do I want to say this? That's the imperfect nature of film that makes me love film. That's what I miss in the digital era, is that things don't have the same, is it corruptibility? And hey, that's appropriate because this is a movie about corruptibility. So it looks really, really good. The colors are great. Near the end of the movie, there's a scene where there's a lot of red, is just what I'll say. And that red is so red in this HDR version. It's a beautiful movie. This is not a fun movie. This is not a lighthearted movie. This is a brutal movie that's challenging, but it looks so good on the 4K Ultra HD format. What we have to ask ourselves when we talk about these remasters, these HDR 4K presentations, is does this keep in spirit with the tone of the movie, or is it revisionist? I think this really does keep the tone of the movie. So it's a loaded edition. The special features here, the 4K has 2 commentaries that are also on the Blu-rays. We got a commentary with film historians Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson. Excellent. Another commentary with filmmaker Alex Cox. Then on the Blu-ray, we've got a lot of special features. Lady Vengeance, that's an interview with actress Mariana Hill. Hell to Pay, that's an interview with actor Mitchell Ryan. Burke Devlin from Dark Shadows. If you've been following my Dark Shadows coverage, like every episode in those the early run of Dark Shadows, Burke Devlin didn't. Who told you that? Burke Devlin. That's Mitchell Ryan. He just left us recently, too. Thank goodness we have this interview captured forever. The Barber of Lago, interview with actor William O'Connell and a man named Eastwood. This is a vintage promo in HD. Trailers from Hell with Edgar Wright and Josh Olson. I love Trailers from Hell, and I love that Kino includes those. Posters and image gallery, TV spots, radio spots, theatrical trailers. I'm going to hold this up. You can freeze frame that if you want to read everything. A really phenomenal movie, a powerful Western. It's got that nihilistic... what would we call it? Would we say this is a revisionist Western? I don't know. It's a dark story. It takes a very bleak tone, and it just feels like the early 70s. That's what was happening in the early 70s. So thank goodness it's forever preserved in 4K for our own home media libraries. What do you think about High Plains Drifter? That's what I want to know. How would you rank it with the other Eastwood Westerns? Hey, let's throw in Pale Rider. Let's throw in... We got to talk about Unforgiven too, but Unforgiven is, again, it's the movie that we always talk about at the expense of some of these other films. Hang 'em High? Does any other Hang 'em High fans out there? Guys, thank you so much. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.